So I looked at your brainstorms. I saw your ideas. Most of you had good ideas. Oh, see, it's gone again. But what I want you to do is to take photos today of your objects, okay? And you want to make sure that they're foreshortened. So they have to be coming at you, right? It has to be coming at you. And notice how the ends of the handles are big because they're the closest thing to the viewer, right? So we're going to really have to experiment with that. For some objects, it's a little bit harder, and I'm going to show you. I intentionally picked for my sample something that was hard because it's not long like a pair of scissors, and so it can be done even with smaller objects, okay? Oh, look, it appeared. Magic, right? So these will not work. These are bad views. Okay, so we need to be innovative with our lighting. You know, a lot of people are like, I really hate e-learning, but you know what? Sometimes I really like it because it forces you to have to do for yourself compared to, oh, Mrs. Modest will supply everything for me. So like in the school, I would have a spotlight or a flashlight, or I'd let you guys use the windows. And now you actually kind of have to think for yourself and go, okay, what am I going to use for my light source? So suggestions. You could, and you can see it on the monitor. Oh, I've got mine. You can't even see it because the cord's too short. I've got my son's desk light, right? I got my son's desk light. You could use something like that. You could use a flashlight, and I'll show you that too. You could go by a window. So a lot of you are in rooms with small bedroom windows. And you'll notice that if you photograph the object close to the window, you're going to have some really cool shadows that can become part of your composition, right? What I would suggest that you do is to set yourself up some sort of light. Don't use a big overhead light. So like for me, the room I'm in right now is not good for this. There's too much light. So that's why I had to grab the flashlight so that I could, hopefully, I can get it to actually work. I'll use my sun's spotlight if it doesn't. I can get some really cool shadows. Phone lights will work too, but for a lot of you, you're using your phones to take the picture. So you might have to get an assistant at home if you need two phones, right? One for a light, one for taking photos. You also want a neutral background. Don't get anything too fancy. You can use a piece of paper in your sketchbook. You could use the gray construction paper that is in your set, okay? So I intentionally put a big giant sheet of gray construction paper in your portfolios, and we're not using that to draw. We're using that for a background to photograph our artwork. I forgot to tell you that you could use that for your exquisite corpse. So if you still haven't finished taking pictures of your exquisite corpse, you could lay that on the ground, put your artwork on the top, and then shoot there so that you have a neutral background, okay? Play with lighting, try it from different angles. I'll experiment and show you that in a little bit, okay? So then I want you to take lots of photos, okay? The assignment says take many photos. I am not going to go, oh, you have to do 3. Oh, you have to do 10, okay? I want you to do many. If you think many is 3, you're kind of like not really knowing what the concept of many is. And also, I want you to force yourself to be creative. You have to look at your object and point it at you, and you need to go all around it and take all kinds of crazy shots of it. So I intentionally picked a stopwatch, like it's an old-fashioned stopwatch, kind of looks like a pocket watch, and it's not long. So I had to be super creative with my foreshortening. I used the cord, I played with angles. Even this one, the second from the left on the top, it tilted. And so I'm playing with kind of an extreme angle because it's going back into space. So I took a lot of photos, okay? And when you're taking the photos, I want you to use the viewfinder like it's the edge of the paper. So we're looking for good composition. A few of you did not have me for drawing 1, And so sadly, I don't really know what you learned about composition, but in my art classes, I expect you to think about placement. So you need to think about how are you going to arrange your object in the space provided, right? Where don't we want to put anything?
Dead center.
Dead center. Now our exquisite corpse was kind of unique, right? Because we were doing some creative kind of combo, but we don't normally want to put things in the center. So what you want to do is think about keeping things out of the center and shifting it to a corner. So when you're using your camera, use the rule of thirds, right? That grid, and it can be vertical or horizontal, right? Put it in an area that's slightly shifted out of the center. If you put it in one of these places where those two lines meet, you're going to have a more balanced composition, okay? When you look at these two, right? When you look at these two images, which one has better, which one has too much background?
The picture on the right.
You think the one on the right has too much background?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean the one on the left.
There you go, the one on the left. You don't want your object to be itty little bitty in this composition. It's your focal point. It's your most important object. I want you to think about how much space it should take up, okay? Now this one on the right is kind of centered and it's not very good either, but it's at least taking up more space, right? So think about how you can balance it. Now, one of the cool things is that we can crop these if we want to too. I'm gonna give you a choice of either a rectangle, a square, or a panoramic. And so I made that composition better for that one on the right by making it into a square and using the shadow to kind of occupy some of the space, right? So, my image is gone again. Let's see. This is just not loading very good, but what I want you guys to do is to go in and take your shots, right? So yeah, it's gone. It disappeared on me. Take some shots, experiment. I'm gonna switch really fast just to kind of give you kind of like a little heads up on lighting, and then I'll let you go, and that's all you have to do today is just play with lighting. Okay, so I'm gonna do a new share. There you go, my second camera. Okay, so let me get 4x5 out of the way, right? So this is my cookie cutter, right? Here's my cookie cutter. And my example at school is of this cookie cutter rather than that stopwatch. So I'm gonna angle it towards me. So I'm over here, right? I've got an angle towards me. And then I'm gonna use that desk light, right? And can you see that if I put the light lower, can you see how that shadow stretches out? You guys see that?
Yep.
Right? So if you put the light kind of like, think about like sunrise, sunset, that's when the shadows are like the longest. So you can move your light down low, or maybe like 3/4 will be more crisp. But you probably want to see how you can incorporate some sort of shadow. You might have to move your work around, right? Before you actually photograph it for better composition. But see how cool that is? You can just move the background a little bit or the object, okay? And then when you go to take your photos, right? I'm going to show you guys here. It's not exact, actually it's not, it is foreshortened because it's got one part closest to you. I want to make sure you guys can actually see this on the screen. Tap on the object to make sure that it's in focus. So tap on the object. That's going to give you good lighting as well. Think about placement. So I shifted it out of the center. Maybe I want to put it in the top so I got some background. And then take your picture. Okay? You can take photos with your Chromebook as well. Maybe you want to flip it to the tablet form so that it's easier to take photos with, okay? You can also use the flashlight. My husband handed me this flashlight and said, oh, you can use this instead, but it's not turning on. Oh, it is, there it is. Here we go. So you can also experiment with a flashlight, which doesn't look so great on the screen, but I bet I can get it to work really cool too. Okay, so window, flashlight, or lamp, no overhead lighting. I like you to incorporate shadows. Okay, questions or concerns? Okay, you're going to play. I want you to come up with as many different combinations as you possibly can. Okay, I want you to experiment. I want you to play. I want you to try a bunch of different angles. And then what I want you to do is take those photos and put them in your process portfolio. You're probably going to need multiple slides. Okay? Sound good? Okay. I'm going to stop recording. Feel free to ask questions. If you need to show me your setup, you can totally do that too.